Hello, I'm Clotilde Barra, the Dean of Students at Metropolitan College of New York. Welcome to the Title IX presentation, Creating an Environment Free from Harassment and Discrimination. Metropolitan College of New York has a very important mission to provide a superior, experientially based education that fosters personal and professional development, promotes social justice, and encourages positive change in workplaces and communities. Our mission is rooted in social justice. That means that even if there were no laws that prohibited discrimination or harassment, an institution with a mission that is rooted in social justice would have absolutely no room for discrimination and harassment. Having said that, we are going to spend the next few minutes talking about very important laws that prohibit discrimination and harassment. The Civil Rights Act, Title IX, Clery Act, Violence Against Women Act, Education Law 129B, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and the Americans with Disabilities Act, Amendment Act. So what do these laws say? The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972 states, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from, participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Title IX protects students, employees, applicants for admission, and applicants for employment, and other persons from all forms of sex discrimination, including discrimination based on gender identity or failure to conform to stereotypical notions of masculinity or femininity. It prohibits sex-based harassment that is sufficiently serious to deny or limit a student's ability to participate in or benefit from education programs and activities. It prohibits unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature, sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal, nonverbal, or physical conduct of a sexual nature. Some examples are name-calling, graphic and written statements, inappropriate jokes. And it's very important to make note of one thing. What is unwelcomed is in the eyes of the beholder. In other words, you may have not meant to offend someone, but if that person is offended, then the conduct was unwelcomed. Title IX prohibits sexual violence. Those are sexual acts against a person's will or where a person is incapable of giving consent. Incapable of giving consent. They cannot give consent to sexual activity if they are disoriented, helpless, asleep, or unconscious for any reason. Failure to consent. This is a very important concept. Unless consent is knowing, it is not valid. Those engaging in sexual activity who know or should have known that the other party is incapacitated are engaging in sexual misconduct. The fact that a responding party was intoxicated and thus did not realize that the reporting party was incapacitated does not excuse the sexual misconduct. Translation: if you are high or drunk, you are not relieved of any responsibility if you sexually assault someone. Consent is defined as knowing, voluntary, and mutual decision among all participants to engage in sexual activity. Someone who is incapacitated cannot give consent, as we had just said previously. Past consent does not mean future consent. Silence or an absence of resistance does not imply consent. Consent to engage in sexual activity with one person does not imply consent to engage in sexual activity with another. Consent can be withdrawn at any time. Coercion, force, or threat invalidates consent. The Clery Act. Renamed after Jean Clery, a student who was slain in her dorm in 1986, this law requires all post-secondary institutions participating in Title IV student financial assistance programs to disclose campus crime statistics. The Violence Against Women Act. In March 2013, the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act, otherwise known as VAWA, was signed into law. It included amendments to the Clery Act, which we just spoke about briefly, and it requires that we disclose statistics related to dating violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking, that we report on new categories of hate crimes, and that we provide training that includes safe and positive options for bystander intervention. Title 129B, Enough is Enough. This requires colleges in New York State to adopt or implement a uniform definition of affirmative consent, which we have, as discussed a few minutes ago, defined as knowing, voluntary, and mutual decision among all participants to engage in sexual activity. An amnesty policy to ensure that students who report incidents are granted immunity from certain campus violations such as drug or alcohol use. A student's Bill of Rights, which includes the right to report sexual assaults to outside law enforcement. Training for all staff and students, and reports on incidents of sexual violence. Now, those were all of the laws that pertain to those particular topics. However, there are other laws that are as important. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in the admission or access to, treatment or employment in, programs and activities. The Americans with Disabilities Act Amendments Act of 2008 amended the 1990 Americans with Disabilities Act, and it protects individuals with disabilities from discrimination in the workplace, as well as school and other settings. Very important to note, if you are a student in need of an accommodation, please send an email to access@mcny.edu or to Olena Wills, owills@mcny.edu. She is the coordinator of accessibility, and she will work with you and the professor to ensure that the accommodations are taking place. Metropolitan College of New York takes all of this very, very seriously. We are committed to providing a learning environment free from unlawful discrimination and harassment on the basis of race, color, sex, gender, pregnancy, religion, creed, marital status, partnership status, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, national origin, disability, military status, or any legal protected category. We are committed to have policies and procedures that support both our mission and these laws. We provide training for all students, so please stay tuned. You will soon be receiving an email from my office asking you to please participate in a much more comprehensive training program. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We want you to please take the required training, and you will get a much more in-depth explanation of very important topics that fall within this subject matter. We communicate our policies and procedures in the student handbook and our website, and we have posted the Bill of Rights, and it will also be on our website. Any student who feels he, she, they has or have experienced or witnessed harassment or discrimination by a student, employee, or third party may file a written complaint in person or by email to the Title IX coordinator, and that would be me, Clotilde Ibarra, the Dean of Students. I promise that we will deal with the situation with the utmost care and privacy to ensure that the matter is resolved. Be safe. Stay safe. Thank you.